Okay, so now the software is tested and they are making a BGP neighborship as well. Now if you will see, okay, I have already configured the routers with the IP addressing and OSPF. Okay, IP addressing is between router 1 and router 2 is 12.1.1. something. Okay, between router 2, router 3 and router 4, they are also configured with the IP address and also configured
What
with
is
the
the
OSPF.
issue yesterday? What is the issue?
Yes, come again.
But what is the issue?
The iOS was the older one. So today I changed the iOS, okay, and it is working. Okay, so OSPF is also configured between router 2, router 3 and router 4. The same thing what we have done yesterday, okay. Till that I have configured everything with the IP addressing schema and the OSPF between router 2, router 3 and router 4. Okay, if you want to check the configuration, let me show you the configuration as well. Show run pipe section or show IP interface brief. Okay. So the IP addressing is like 12.1.1.2, the IP address configured on router 2. This interface where router 1 is connected. Okay. Second one is what? 23. The interface which is connecting to router 3. And the third one is 24, the interface which is connecting to router 4. Okay. And also I have configured two loopbacks. One is for OSPF and the second one is your customer ID. That is also your loopback. Okay. Which we will advertise in BGP. Okay. Now, if you will see show run pipe section OSPF. Okay, in OSPF we have a forcefully made 2.2.2 as a router ID. Okay, second is network we have advertised which is 2.2.2.2, 23 1.1.0 and 24 1.1.0. Okay, nothing is running between router 1 and router 2. Why? Because router 1 and router 2 is going to build an eBGP neighborship using a manual interface. Okay. Similarly, on router 3 also we have configured the IP addressing and also the OSPF.
Can you show, sorry to interrupt, can you show the router to once again?
Which router?
And the one which you just showed, which had like the two address, two back address.
This one.
I believe.
The router 2.
Yeah, this is the router 2, right? So
yeah.
We haven't like advertised loopback 22 or 22. So we don't need to advertise it.
No. That we will advertise into BGP. Why? Because that we are considering is our customer network. Okay, and customer network can be a multiple. Thousands of network will be there. Okay, thousands of customers which are connecting to our router 2. Okay, so that is the interface which we are considering as a customer network, and that network we will advertise into BGP.
Okay. So we don't need to advertise that in OSPF.
In OSPF, I am showing you the configuration of OSPF. Okay, so in OSPF we don't need to configure or we don't need to advertise in OSPF.
Yeah, as per my understanding, what I thought, I might be wrong, but what I thought was, if you want to advertise something in BGP, then you have to advertise the same thing in an underlying protocol, like any one of the IGPs.
No.
Is it wrong?
No, is it wrong? Okay. If you want, okay, if you don't want to configure OSPF, that will be also okay.
Oh,
okay. If you don't want to configure OSPF, okay, that will be also okay. Okay, but why in this topology I am configuring the underlay protocol which is OSPF, that I will show you. Why we are configuring. What is the use of underlay protocol over like inside your BGP? Okay, so one thing I told you yesterday is, okay, router 2, router 3 and router 4. Okay, they are the internal routers which are into an AS number 200. Okay, so those router will communicate with your IGP protocol like OSPF and EIGRP. Okay, but the customers which are connected on those router, okay, and your customer networks are many like thousands of users are connected, thousands of BGP networks are connected. Okay, so that network we can't advertise in OSPF because OSPF can't handle those number of networks. Okay, so that is why we decided to advertise those 1,000 numbers of network into BGP. Okay, not in OSPF.
Okay.
OSPF
So
here
okay.
we used OSPF only to exchange the information between the routers, only to communication between the routers. That's all.
Okay. Sir, over here a quick question, sir. How do we differentiate which network we should advertise in OSPF and which network should we
That
advertise
you
in
have
BGP?
to that we have to differentiate. Okay, see here. This is the network which is connecting router 2 and router 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So this is your internal network.
Yes, sir.
Okay. See here. How to differentiate that I will show you. Okay. 1 second.
Okay.
Here what we are considering this topology which is communicating from one ISP to another ISP. This is what we are considering. Is it?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. This AS100 is your ISP XYZ and this AS200 is your ISP ABC. Okay, so which network one ISP will advertise to another ISP? The internal network or the customer network? A customer wants to communicate with the other ISP customer, not
Sir,
with the
your voice.
network of.
Sir, your voice just choked away.
Hello.
Yeah, it's slightly better now. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so what we are considering, they two are a different ISP. Okay.
Yeah.
So one ISP wants to advertise its customer network to another ISP, not the internal networks. Getting my point?
Yes.
I want to advertise the network to the other ISP, but which network? Only my customer network, not my internal network. What would I do while advertising my internal network? Internal network does not have to do anything with the other ISP.
Okay.
What other ISP want? My customer network. Why? Because customer wants to communicate with the other ISP customers.
Okay.
Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Customer is who? We are the customers.
Yes.
Okay, I want to communicate with your network, and you are also the customer of one of your ISP. Okay, I don't want to communicate with your ISP internal networks.
Okay.
Getting my point?
Yes.
Okay, what I want
ISP internal office, sorry, internal network means their local office network, right, sir?
That is local office network. So this is what the internal network router 2 is communicating to router 3 with the internal network. There is some IP configured between them.
Okay.
Okay, so those internal network will communicate with one of your IGP protocol, but not the customers.
Okay.
Okay, customer sure. Network you have to advertise into your BGP, which will be exchanged with other ISP.
Okay.
Getting my point? Is it clear?
Yes, yes. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
1 minute. 1 minute. And also, okay, listen. And also, if you don't want to advertise your internal network using some of the IGP protocol, that will also be okay. That will also be okay. If you are not using OSPF for internal communication, that will also be okay. Router will communicate using the BGP protocol also. Okay, but what we are deciding is why to advertise our internal networks to other ISP. Okay, so that is why we are making the internal communication using IGP protocol, and only the customer network we are sending with the BGP protocol.
Okay.
Getting the point?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. See here, router 1 and router 2. They two are not using any protocols. Any protocol. Any protocol means what? IGP. Okay, but then also they are able to communicate using the BGP protocol. There we don't need any IGP protocol or underlay protocol to make them communicate. Okay, we are making them communicate using the BGP protocol only. Okay, only to understand what is the use of IGP protocol. What is the use of IGP protocol, like underlay protocol. That is why we have designed some topology like this, only to make you guys understand. Okay, done. BGP 1, 2, 3 and router 3. If you will see, similarly, router 3 also having shown on 5 section OSPF. If you will see, okay. So we have advertised the networks which are connected for internal purpose, which are connected with the 23 network, 34 network, and the router ID which is 3.3.3. Okay, here also we have one more network. If you will see 33, which we are considering as a customer network. Okay, that we will advertise into BGP. Similarly, we have also done for router 4 as well. Now, if you will see on router 1, what we have done for BGP, for BGP. Yesterday also we are doing the same thing, but the things are not working. Okay. Now also, if you will see shown on 5 section BGP, or if you want, I will remove the BGP from over here. See here. Let me remove the BGP and we will configure it again. Router BGP, no router BGP. Okay. Go on router 2 and also do. For testing purpose, I have run this. No router BGP 200. Okay, now we will see. Now we will configure an eBGP neighborship between router 1 and router 2. The eBGP neighborship will take place, or the eBGP will take place where you have two different AS. Okay, router 1 which is connected in AS number 100 and router 2 which is connected in AS number 200. A router can be a part of only one BGP AS number. Okay, this is very important. A router can be a part of only one BGP AS number. Okay, you can't run a multiple BGP process on a single router. Okay, EIGRP, you can make a multiple process on a single router. OSPF, you can run a multiple process on a single router, but BGP, you can't. On a router, you can only have a single process of BGP. Okay, so go on router 1 and configure the BGP. Okay, the command is router BGP 100, router 1 which is in AS number 100. Then you have to say no auto summary because okay, it also do auto summarization. So we always say no auto summary. Then we have to define the neighbor. Who is the neighbor of router 1? Router 1 is build a neighborship with 12.1.1.2, which is connected in remote AS 200. Okay, your networks of router 1 is having a network of 11.11.11.11. Okay, with a subnet mask of all 255. Give it all 255. Only one customer you have, what we are considering. If you have a complete range of 11.0/24, so you can give a 0 also. Okay, but here we have configured it as a /32. It is /. Okay, simple command. Okay, only you enable the BGP using a command router BGP 100. Then you forcefully denied auto summary using a command no auto summary. Then you have defined the neighborship with the neighbor router, which is having an IP of 12.1.1.2 connected in remote AS number 200. Okay, then you advertised the network, whatever you have. Okay, whatever you want to be advertised in BGP. So you have to advertise using network and the network address mask and the subnet mask. Done? Is it clear? Go on router 2. Configure router BGP 200. Okay, no auto summary. Then build a neighborship with the router 1 using a command 12.1.1.1. Okay, this is the IP address which is configured on router 1 interface, which is connecting to router 2. Okay, so 12.1.1.1 remote AS, that router is in AS number 100. Then advertise your network 22.22.22.22 marks 255.255.255. Okay, done. Now check whether your BGP is coming up or not. Show IP BGP summary. Okay. BGP never is still in active state. Still in active state. It takes a time. Huh? BGP is one of a very slow protocol. Yeah, it's coming up. Messages are getting exchanged between the routers. Okay. Now check the network which is advertised. Show IP BGP. The command. Nothing we are able to see. Yesterday also we are stucking over here. What happened? Working. Huh? See, sometime before I checked and it was working. This is the command what we used before. I used before. Does anything is missing? And this is the command what we used. No. Okay. Let's say advertise the network because I configured it for coming. Good. See here. Now it's coming. Oh. This is your BGP table, BGP routing table, you can say, or BGP table. Some says BGP table or BGP routing table. Okay. On router 1, if you will see, okay, on router 1. Router 1, the learning network is 11.11.0/24. Next hop is 0.0.0. That means this is your connected network. Next hop is 0.0.0 itself only. Okay, so this is your connected network. Second network which you are getting is 22.22.22/24. Okay, which is your 12.1.1.2. The next hop IP address is 12.1.1.2. Okay, if you will see from here, if you will try to ping 22.22.22, it is successful. Okay, from here also, if you will try to ping 11.11.11, successful. Okay. Now we will run IBGP between router 2, router 3, and router 4. Okay, from router 2, router 3 and router 4, okay, what are the commands we are going to use as an to advertise or to run the BGP? Not bad.
Sir,
Okay,
I was not able to hear that part. Why did it show next hop like 0.0.0.0? That part I was not able to hear.
0.0.0 means 0.0.0 means that is your locally connected network.
Okay.
Okay, you don't need
Okay.
any hop or the next hop IP address to reach on 11.0 network. If you will see
Okay.
here, okay, to reach on 11.0 network, okay, the next hop IP address is 0.0.0. Why? Because that is your own connected network. Similarly, if you will see on router 2, for router 2, 22 is 000. Because on router 2, 22 is the connected network.
Okay.
Okay, and 11.0 to reach on 11.0 network, it need a hop IP address is which is 12.1.1.1.
Okay.
Okay, from router 1, if you will see to reach on 22.0 network, it need a hop IP of 12.1.1.2.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Now, what are the commands we need to be run on router 2? Router 2. Just tell me, anyone, router BGP, then you will say my AS number is so. Then you will say no auto summary, which is already there on a router 2. Okay. What you
Yes,
have
sir.
to do is what? Neighbor. Neighbor will be what? From router 2,
Router
if
1.
you will configure router 1, which is already neighbor, we have already done. We are doing IBGP
Okay,
neighborship
IGP.
between router 2, router 3 and router 4. IGP, not IGP.
Okay.
IBGP.
Oh, sorry. IBGP.
Okay.
Neighbor would be
So
router 3.
router 3. So router 3, what you will write over here for router 3?
The interface SZ1/0 IP address.
S1 slash
Or the
0 slash
loopback
0
or the
IP
loopback
address.
address.
Loopback IP address.
Yeah, or the
Why so
loopback IP address.
loopback? Why loopback? Why not
I mean,
physical
if
interface?
there is, I mean, I was once I was learning. I
After
mean, they
loopback
said
is
like,
given priority over the physical interface, na? For
no,
router.
not that
Loopback,
might not be the reason. I
not.
was told that
That is not.
if the physical link is down, then to
Very
reach
good.
from another direction, that's why we use loopback.
See here. Very good. Okay. The main purpose of using the loopback IP address is this. Okay. Now what will happen? See here. If you will say neighbor, okay, the IP address configured between router 2 and router 3 is 23.1.1.2. On router 3 side, it is 23.1.1.2. And once you will say remote AS, the remote AS will be 200. Okay, you can use a command this also. Okay, and also you can use a command 3.3.3.3 remote -as 200. Okay, to build a neighborship from router 2 to router 3. To build a neighborship from router 2 to router 3, you can use both the commands. Okay, either you can use this command to build a neighborship, or either you can use this second command to build a neighborship with the router. Okay, now what is the difference? Okay, at what scenario we have to use this, in which scenario we have to use this. Okay, so if you will use a command neighbor 23.1.1.2, okay, you are building a neighborship on a physical interface which is connected on router 3. Okay, you can use this command to build a neighborship with router 3 and it will work also. But in future, if this physical interface will goes down, so your neighborship will be break. Is it or not? If 23.1.1.2, the physical interface of router 3 will goes down, your neighborship will become down. Your neighborship will become down. Okay. So that time, what we have to use is neighbor 3.3.3.3. Okay, this also you can use only in one scenario. If you have a underlayer protocol, and you have a reachability using this interface. Okay, so if you will see on router 2, show IP route You already have that network information. 22222 using an OSPF protocol. Sorry, 3333 using an OSPF protocol. CL.
So in this condition, we need underlying protocol, sir.
This condition you need an underlayer protocol. Okay, if you don't have any underlayer protocol and you don't have a reachability on 3.3.3, then how router 3 will advertise? Then how router 3 will identify who is 3.3.3? Getting my point?
Okay. I mean, can't we like advertise 3 dot network in BGP, sir?
You can advertise, but that is the second thing.
Okay.
Okay, you can. Okay, and there also the thing will not work. Why?
Okay.
Why thing will not work? Okay, you are advertising the 3.3.0 network. Okay, let's see. Okay, you are advertising the 3.3.3.0 network. Okay, this 3.3.0 network will learn. You will learn. Okay, but when once your neighborship is up, then only na.
Yeah, okay.
Getting my point? If your neighborship is not up, then how you will learn 3.3.0 network? Getting my point?
Yes, sir.
First, neighborship should be up. Then only you will be able to learn that network.
Okay.
Got my point?
Sir, can we advertise both the interface of the router?
Both the interface of the router means?
Yes. Means if loopback is not configured and you are telling that for if physical interface will be down, the BGP will be down.
Yes.
Can you configure both the for the both the interface? Can you configure the BGP?
Both interface means what? You are connected with router 3 using two interface or one interface? How many interfaces you are using to connect a router 3? Two or one? You mean to say the loopback?
Probably
Physical
he's
interface.
saying both physical
Physical
interfaces.
interface. Both means which one? Tell me.
Yes, serial 1/0, serial 1/1.
No, bro. How serial 1/1 will come? You are not connected with the serial 1/1. Your router will only identify serial 1/0, which is directly connected to your router, not the indirectly connected interface. This is not your connected interface. This is the connected interface of router 4. Router 4 will identify this interface, not router 2.
In
So
that
this is
case, we have the architecture of 4 router. Then what we will do? The fourth one.
come again. Actually, your voice is not clear.
Can you add one more router in between 3 and 4?
Can we add one more router between 3 and 4? Yes, we can add.
Yes.
Oh.
In that case, how router 2 will we will advertise router 4 with router 2?
In that case,
How router 2 make BGP neighborship with router 4? Because it will not directly connected. No?
then how router 2 will make a BGP connection with router 4?
No, router 5 between router 3 and 4.
Then how? What is the use of making a neighborship with router 2 and router 5?
No, you are.
No, see. Okay, you are making a neighborship with which router? Tell me first. You are making a neighborship with which router? Tell me first.
Directly connected router.
Directly connected router. So router 5, which is between router 3 and router 4, okay, that is your directly connected router. Is it?
Then that router 5 will get advertised from where?
Then router 5 will make a neighborship with router 3 and router 4. Why to make a neighborship with router 2? If you have one more router between router 3 and router 4, so that is directly connected to router 3 and router 4. It is not directly connected to router 2. Router 5 will make a neighborship with router 3 and 4, not with router 2, man.
Let us not configure the loopback. In router 2, we can advertise BGP in both the interface. That is fine for router 4 and router 3.
No. I am not understanding your question. I'm not able to understand your question exactly.
Router 2 is making BGP neighborship with router 3 via S1/0.
Very good. Yes.
And router 2 can make neighborship with router 4 with the second link.
With the second link serial 1/2, okay, and router 2 serial 1/0. Yes.
Okay. In router 4, we will configure the same thing for router 3.
Router 4 will configure the same thing like this. Router 4 will make a neighborship using serial 1/1 interface. Okay.
With
And
router 3.
Router
If
3
we are
will have
making fast link between router 2 and router 3, still we can have the second path, right?
Still you can have the second path. Yes.
Then, sir, what is the advantage of loopback IP configuration?
Here, let me explain you in here. Let me explain you. Okay. 3 routers are there. Okay. These are the physical links. Is it? Okay. These are the physical links, and here you have an IP address. Here you are having an IP address of like 12.1.1.1. Okay. Here you are having an IP address of 12.1.1.2. Here you are having an IP address of 13.1.1.1. Here you are having an IP address of 13.1.1.2. Here you are having an IP address of 14.1.1.1. Here you are having the IP address of 14.1.1.2. Is it clear? Okay. Router 1 is having a loopback IP address of 1.1.1. Here you are having an IP address of 2.2.2.2. Here you are having 3.3.3.3. Is it clear? Okay. Now what you want? You want to build a neighborship from router 1 to router 2. Okay. You have two options. Okay. You can either build on a physical interface. Okay. Using this thing. Okay. From router 1, what you will say, my neighbor is 13.1.1.2. Is it? Okay. And what I said is, if your physical link will goes down, okay, your neighborship is going to be break. Okay. Why? Here from router 1, what you are saying is my neighbor is who? 13.1.1.2. Who is your neighbor? 13.1.1.2. Okay. If this 13.1.1.2 interface will goes down, if this interface will goes down, so what will happen? A neighborship is going to be break between router 1 and router 2. Is it or not? Or it will go via over here? Is it? It will go via over here?
No, this neighborship will break down.
Neighborship will break down. Is it or not?
Yes.
Down. Okay. Now, if you are saying my neighbor is 3.3.3.3, means you are using a loopback IP address. Is it? Okay. If suppose in future, if this link will goes down, okay, are you able to reach on 3.3 or not? Are you able to reach on 3.3? Yes, you are able to reach.
Yes, sir. Yes.
You are able to reach using what? Using what?
Using OSPF.
Using IGP protocol. That is what your OSPF. Now you understand or not?
Yes, sir.
Got it.
Okay. This is the thing of what I trying to explain over there. Okay, but you guys are getting confused. Don't be get confused. If you are getting confused, let me know. I will explain in a different manner. Okay,
Got
now
it.
you
Got it.
understand, I think. Now you understand, I think.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Why you are using a command like 13.1.1.2 is your neighbor. So that 13.1.1.2 interface will goes down, neighborship will goes down. And if you are making a neighborship using a loopback interface, okay, your loopback is still reachable using an IGP or OSPF protocol. So your neighborship will not goes down. Okay. We know our physical interface is down, but our neighborship will not goes down. Your neighborship will be up using a second interface, like second path from here. Your loopback is reachable. Your loopback is reachable means your BGP is up. Okay. So from router 2, we will make a neighborship using our loopback interfaces of router 3 and router 4. Okay. But I will show you now. Come on. Go inside your router BGP 200. Okay, no auto summary is already configured. Everything is already configured. Just say what 3.3.3 is your neighbor, which is in a remote AS 200. Same AS. Okay, they will automatically understand you are building an IBGP neighborship. Once you will define I am in the AS 200 and I want to make a neighborship using the same AS, they will automatically understand you are making an IBGP neighborship. Got the point? Okay, there you don't have to
we are in the
differentiate.
same AS, why you are writing remote AS everywhere?
That is the default command, bro. That is the remote AS only, na? For you or for your router, that is the remote AS. Okay, the neighbor is in remote AS. Getting my point? Neighbor, the second neighbor is 4.4.4.4.
So basically, the confusing part is basically you are referring to the BGP 200, and after that you are also configuring it a remote AS as a 200. So there should be a little difference. How exactly we can understand to clear the confusion?
See, remote AS means what? Remote AS means what? The remote router to whom you are making a neighborship.
Currently, which router we are configuring right now?
On router 2.
On router 2. Okay.
Yeah,
so
this is
we
router
have
2.
So we have BGP 2. So what is the purpose of 200? Like if we are configuring BGP 200, then why the remote AS as a 200? It could be different. There's some certain purpose of it.
Yeah, sir, can I try over here once? Try to tell him. So, sir, can you open that command thing once? That CLI once. Yeah. So over here, I mean, whoever asked this question, I believe I'll try to help out. So over here, once you open router BGP 200, for example, over here only you can configure eBGP as well as IBGP.
Very good.
So after neighbor, and then you give the IP address over there. For example, if you're doing of the neighbor and then remote, if you give a different remote AS number, for example, you wrote on top, you wrote router BGP 200, right? And inside you wrote neighbor 3.3.3.3 remote AS 200. So this 200 and on top 200, the both are same, then it will consider as IBGP. If you write it, if you write a different number like 100, then over here you have remote AS has 100 and on top router BGP 200. These both numbers are different, then it will consider you as a eBGP. So that is what the difference is. I hope I'm correct, sir.
Yes. See here, and one more thing. Okay, 2 routers you are having. Okay, router 1 is remote to router 2 and router 2 is remote to router 1. Is it or not?
It is remote in the case of neighborship, but not in the case of AS number, na? Because they are inside the same AS number.
They are inside the same AS, but how they will differentiate it? How router 2 will come to know my neighbor is in same AS or my neighbor is in different AS, how router 2 will come to know? In topology, you have written here in this topology, you have written they all are into a same AS. But how router 2 will understand router 3 is in same AS or in different AS? In this topology, you have written. Is it or not? Okay, but how router will differentiate, man? How router will differentiate? My neighbor is in same AS or in different AS? Tell me. By using this command only, bro.
The same AS number, then it will automatically remind that I am in the same AS.
Same AS, that is IBGP. I have to form this neighbor, whatever you have defined or whatever administrator has defined. Okay, that it is in same AS. Okay, and I am in same AS. That means I have to build a neighborship using IBGP. Okay, if you will provide here if you will provide AS number 100 or 500 or 600, okay, and you are in the AS number 200, they will automatically come to know the neighbor which the administrator is defining. Okay, that is a eBGP neighbor, the external BGP neighbor. Okay, and this is the remote AS. Remote AS means what? The remote neighbor, the next neighbor. Remote doesn't mean eBGP. Remote doesn't
Cisco
mean
should change this terminology, sir.
Huh?
It should be changed by Cisco.
That will be only changed by Cisco. We can't do anything over here.
Because
okay, this is the
will think it is not remote AS.
This is the default command to provide the AS information to your router. Okay, similarly, what you will say, neighbor 4.4.4, okay, which is connected in remote AS. Okay, remote AS means what? The neighbor which is 4.4.4 it is connected in AS number 200. Okay, and network you have already
router will compare his own AS with the command remote AS. If it is equal, it will consider IBGP.
IBGP. Okay, see here. Do show run 5 section BGP, whatever we have configured. See here. On router 2 we are. See here. Neighbor which is 12.1.1.2, which is connected in remote AS number 100. So now for this it will consider it is an eBGP neighbor. Why? Because I am sitting in AS number 200. Okay, and the fellow which you have given 12.1.1.1 is connected in AS number 100. That means we have to form an eBGP neighbor. Getting my point?
Got it.
Here neighbor 3.3.3 which is connected in AS number 200 and I am also in AS number 200. That means we have to form a neighborship with 3.3.3 using an IBGP conditions. Okay, similarly for 4.4.4, the advertised AS and my AS both are same. That means we have to build a neighborship using an IBGP concept. Got the point?
Got it.
Okay. Now again, from router 3, who are the neighbors from router 3? Okay, on router 2, the loopback IP is 2.2.2. On router 4, the loopback IP is 4.4.4. Okay, now you guys have to say. I will only write over here. Okay, these are the commands which are going to come default. Okay, then neighbor will be whom? From router 3 I am seeing. Router 2, all the works have been done. Router 3 neighbors are whom? 2 and router 4. Is it or not? Okay, so neighbor will be 2.2.2.2, which is connected in remote AS. Remote AS. Same.
200.
Okay, 200. Neighbor 4.4.4.4, which is connected in remote AS. Same.
200.
Then you have to advertise your own network. On router 2, I didn't advertise it because it is already advertised while creating a neighborship with router 1. Is it? Okay, now network of router 3 is 33.33.33.0 with a marks command 255.255.255.0. Is it? These are the command. Comfortable, everyone?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Go on router 3. Still, if you guys have any doubt, I'm ready to clear it.
Sir,
Done? Tell me.
a quick question. Can you open that one?
Which one?
The one,
Which one?
router 3, please.
This is
I mean,
router 3 configuration.
yeah, the same thing. I somewhere I learned that, whatever the mask you assign to an interface, that should be same value advertised in the BGP. Is it correct, sir?
Yeah,
Like, for
this,
example, if
yeah,
I
yeah, 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 yeah. It is correct. See
yeah.
here on router 3, if you will see on router 3, if you will see show IP interface brief, okay, do show IP interface brief. So 33 is configured on this interface. Say do show
Is
run
it
interface.
33? Is it /32? Okay, 24. Okay, sir. Yeah. Okay, sir. Got it cleared.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now router 4. Router 4 is same also in BGP 200. No auto summary. Okay. Neighborship you are going to build with. Does somebody trying to tell anything?
So when we configure a single IP with the interface, can we write the subnet mask as a 32-bit instead of 24-bit? If we
Your
write
voice is very far, bro. Your voice
And we
is very
cannot
far.
hear you.
Come close to the mic and speak. Okay. Till the time we will configure
so
router 4.
I was saying, is it clear now? Okay.
It is clear.
I was saying that when we assign an IP address to an loopback interface, can we write a subnet mask to a 32-bit instead
Yes.
of 24
Yes.
bit? So
Yes. Yes. Yes.
it could consider only single IP usage instead
Yes.
of the whole network.
Very good. You can do that way also. Okay. So router 4 is having 44.44.44 network. Okay. All good. All good. Copy it and paste it on a router. Cannot configure the local system as a neighbor. Router 22222 and 3333. Router 4, na? What we have done? 3.3.3 remote AS 200. Cannot configure local. Who should I be interface? 3.3 is shit. Interface look back. 4 IP address. 3 not 4.4. My mistake, bro. We are IP OSPF. Yes. Yes. Show IP protocol. Now is it 4.4.4? Yes, the router ID is 4.4. Now you can run that. Wait, go here, paste. Now go on router 2 and check whether the neighborship is up or down. Yeah, it's building a neighborship. Show IP BGP summary. Still, if you will see, they are in active state and they too are in active state. They will never come in a default state. Okay, they will always be in an active state because here we are missing something. Okay, what exactly you are missing over here is what exactly you are missing over here is, let me explain you. Okay, when you build a neighborship using a loopback interface, using a loopback interface. See, I will explain between two routers. Okay, be concentrate. Okay, this is your router 1, router 2, or router 3, whatever it is. Okay, just to get understand. Okay, Here you have one loopback interface, okay, which is 1.1.1.1. Here you have one loopback interface, which is 2.2.2.2. Okay, here you are using an IP address of 12.1.1.1. Here you are using an IP address of 12.1.1.2. Okay. Now, in this topology, you have decided to have a neighborship using an loopback IP address. Okay. You want a neighborship using an loopback IP address. So what command you have given on router 1 is my neighbor is 2.2.2.2. Is it or not? Is it? Okay, on router 1, sorry, on router 2, you have said my neighbor is 1.1.1.1. Okay, now router 1 understand 2.2.2 is my neighbor, and router 2 understand 1.1.1.1 is my neighbor. Is it or not? Everybody? Yes, I am waiting for your answers.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, router 1 understand 2.2 is my neighbor, and router 2 understand 1.1.1 is my neighbor, because what we have given to them. Is it?
We have given neighbor.
Excuse me, sir. I have a question, right?
Yes, tell me.
Basically, I joined a little late, so I just need to know how exactly we can differentiate eBGP and iBGP. If you can simulate on this diagram that is you are drawing right now, so it will be more convenient for me to understand.
eBGP and iBGP. Okay,
Yes,
if
sir.
this router is in AS number 100, okay, and the second router is in AS number 200, okay, so there you have to create an eBGP neighborship. Okay, if two routers are in a different AS number, simple eBGP neighborship. Okay, if two routers are in the same AS, simple iBGP neighborship, internal BGP.
But inside the AS, we are running different protocol like OSPF, EIGRP. Then we can consider it as the iBGP.
No,
And if
no, that is nothing. Okay, if you are using or not using, that will now never differentiate your iBGP and eBGP. If you are using IGP protocol like OSPF, okay, that OSPF will never differentiate whether you are using iBGP or eBGP. iBGP and eBGP, that is a very different concept. That is only dependent on your AS number. If you are using two different AS, then eBGP. If you are using same AS, that is your iBGP.
does the protocol matters or not, inside or outside?
Protocol come.
Does the protocol matters within the AS number or outside the AS number?
Which protocol?
Like if we are using some other protocols within a 200 AS, there, as you have drawn the diagram, 2 or 3 routers are connected in a triangle. So which protocol we are running within a 200 AS?
Within a 200 AS for internal communication. For internal communication, we are using OSPF.
OSPF. On top of OSPF,
we are
we
using
need to run the
BGP.
Within a 200, right?
Within a 200, yes. Within a 200.
Yeah, basically we because we want to communicate with the AS 100, so we need to configure the BGP, right?
No, we need to configure, because there we are not using OSPF. Okay, and also between that triangle, okay, within an AS also, if you are not using OSPF, then also you can do the BGP. Okay, but if you will do a BGP, there you have to advertise the internal network as well. Is it? Okay. Then you have to advertise the internal network as well. And if you will advertise the internal network in AS 200, it will be given to AS 100 also. Why should I give my internal network to another ISP? I will only advertise the network which are my customer network or which are my desired network to be advertised to router 1 or AS number 100. Why should I advertise my internal networks to any other AS?
So, sir, in this diagram, we have advertised on the router 3 network with the AS router, right? AS100 router. Like the R2
Come again?
network. In this diagram, we have only advertised R1 and R2 network. Rest of all, we did or not?
No, the rest we have not done anything, I think. Rest we have done, I think. See here, this we have already done. BGP we have already done. Okay, but the thing is, BGP is not coming up on router 2. If you will see, BGP is not coming for iBGP neighbors on router 2. Why it is not coming? That what I am trying to explain over here.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now, what we have done, see here, what we have done in BGP AS number 200, we have built a neighborship using an loopback interface, not the physical interface. Okay, BGP eBGP neighborship between router 1 and router 2, we have created a neighborship using an physical interface. But in AS200, we have used the loopback interfaces, okay, to build a neighborship. Okay, why? Because we already have an underlying protocol, that is what OSPF. Okay, so we get an additional benefit that we can create a neighborship using a loopback interface as well. Okay, so we have used the loopback interface. But when you used a loopback interface or you try to take an additional benefit, there is one concept. And that concept is what? Let me explain you over here. Okay, so router 1 has built a neighborship with router 2. Router 2 has built a neighborship with router 1 using a loopback interface. That is what? Neighbor. Neighbor 2.2.2. Who is 2.2? That is the router 2 loopback interface. On router 2, what you said? The neighbor 1.1.1. What is 1.1? That is the loopback interface of router 1. Is it? Now, what is exactly happening? Okay, they two are not making a neighborship up. They two are not making the neighborship up. Okay, why? Why they are not making the neighborship up? Because the reason is very simple. Okay, while exchanging the information from router 1 to router 2, while exchanging information from router 1 to router 2, using which interface does router 1 will exchange the information? Yes, I want answer from you guys.
Then why we are using
Loopback.
loopback addresses in this topology?
Man, I already told this thing at least twice, and this is the third time
Basically,
you
I
are
came late
asking
and
me.
joined late, so that's why I missed that thing.
Why? And that is a very big task to make you understand why we are using a loopback.
Okay, it's okay. You can carry on. What you can do is just push the recording over the cloud.
I will push the
Right?
recording and you go with the recording. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
What I'm saying? Huh. Uh, uh, while sending information from router 1 to router 2, okay, while sending information from router 1 to router 2, okay, which interface router 1 will be used? Which interface? Default, router 1 will use which interface to advertise its information to router 2? To advertise its information to router 2. Yes, anybody? Anyone?
Can you repeat your question, sir?
While sending information from router 1, okay, to router 2, to whom? To router 2.
Yeah.
Router 1 will of course use one of its interface.
Yes, sir.
Is it? Okay, to send information to router 2.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so which interface router 1 will use? Router 1 will use a loopback interface or the physical interface. Why loopback interface? That is the default behavior. Is it the default behavior?
Loopback interface.
Why loopback interface?
Because we have advertised the loopback interface.
Keep aside the loopback. Whatever you have advertised, keep
it
aside.
Both interfaces, loop interface or IP interface.
Keep it aside. Whatever you have advertised in BGP, I am using a simple question to you guys. Thus, router 1 is connected thus. Okay, whoever said loopback, Does router 1 is connected with the loopback interface with router 2 or the physical interface?
Sir, it can be
Not it can be. It should be
It
or
will
it must be.
by default it will use its physical interface, sir.
By
both
Unless you
default,
interfaces.
say
it
it
will
to use.
both, not
Unless you
both
say
the
it.
interface. See, bro, not the both the. This is a very basic information, whatever you said. Okay, they are not going to use any of the interface. Any of the interface. They will only use the physical interface from which the router is connected. Okay, so your router, the router 2 which is connected using this physical interface which is having an IP address of 12.1.1.1. Is it?
Yes.
Okay, or it can be, or it will be, or nothing. It will be, or it must be sending an IP address using 12.1.1.1. Okay, this is a
Okay.
default behavior of your router. So whenever it will update to its neighbor router, it will update using its physical interface. Okay, so in this scenario, what is happening? In this scenario, what is happening? Okay, you told using a BGP, your neighbor is 2.2.2 or your neighbor is 1.1.1.1. Okay, but by default, what router 1 is behaving? Router 1 is sending an update using an address 12.1.1.1. What it is sending? An information using an address 12.1.1.1. And here what router 2 says. And here what router 2 says. Router 2 says, who is the 12.1.1.1? I only know the interface which is 1.1.1.1. Is it or not? Because in BGP you manually told your neighbor is 1.1.1.1, not 12.1.1. Getting the point? But as per the default behavior of your router, okay, router 1 is using its interface, physical interface while sending an update. So what you have to change on router 1? What you have to change on router 1? On router 1, you have to manually say, while updating to router 2, use my loopback IP address. Use my loopback IP address. Okay, so by default, what it is sending is 12.1.1.1. So on router 1, we will say, while you update to your neighbor router, which is what? 2.2.2, always send an update using whatever loopback IP address or interface it is configured. Got the point? Or should I explain it again? If anybody did not understand, let me know here.
Sir, again, please.
Again, please. Okay. BGP is a very complicated, man. Two routers. Okay. Router 1, which is having an IP address of 12.1.1, it is having 12.1.1.2. Is it? Now router 1 knows router 2. Using which interface, which IP address 12.1.1.2? Router 2 knows router 1 using an IP address 12.1.1.2. Is it clear? They two are communicating using this physical interface. Is it or not?
Yes, yes.
Okay, the two routers are communicating to each other using a physical interface IP addresses. That's it. Okay. Now the second thing comes. Okay. On router 1, you have configured one loopback IP address, which is 1.1.1.1. On router 2, you configured again a loopback IP address which is 2.2.2.2. Okay. Now you guys tell me, they two will communicate using which IP address? Using 12 dot or 1 dot?
No, in BGP we have advertised.
Come on. Wait. Wait, we have not configured any BGP over here. Okay, don't go on BGP. My basic question is, now router 1 will understand router 2, or router 1 will communicate to router 2 using which interface? Using loopback or physical?
Physical interface.
Physical interface, sir.
Don't go on BGP. We have not configured any BGP over here. Yes? Physical or loopback? Physical? Okay.
Physical, sir.
Now come to your BGP. Okay, now we are coming on BGP. Okay. On one other hand, we have configured BGP. In BGP, we said your neighbor is 2.2.2.2. Is it? Over here. Again, BGP we enabled and said your neighbor is 1.1.1.1. Again, I am asking you the same question. Router 1 and router 2 will communicate using which interface? Loopback interface?
Physical interface.
The default behavior of any router says, you will always communicate with your neighbor router using the physical interface from which you have connected.
Connected. Okay.
Is it clear?
Yes,
okay.
Sir.
Now what you want, okay, they two are not able to communicate with each other. Why? Because I said something different and the router is behaving some other thing. Is it or not? What I said, your neighbor is 1.1.1, but it says no. How can you? Because default they are using the physical interface to update the neighbor router. Okay, so here manually you have to make some changes. Here what you said on router 2, what you said? Who is your neighbor? 1.1.1 is your neighbor. That's what you said on router 2. Is it or not? What we said? 1.1.1 is my neighbor. But by default, router 1 is sending an update using what? 12.1.1.1. Is it or not? Router 2 getting totally confused. You said 1.1 is my neighbor and I am getting an information using 12.1.1.1, the IP address. What should I do now? Okay, so on router 1 you have to say, buddy, what you are doing? On router 2 I configured 1.1.1 and you are saying 12.1.1.1. That router 2 is getting totally confused. What you are doing? Okay, so on router 1 we will say, bro, whenever you will update to your neighbor, whenever you will send an update to your neighbor router, always use a loopback interface, whatever the IP interface number it is. Okay, so now the router will change its behavior. Why? Because we manually told it. Bro, while sending an update to your neighbor, which is 2.2.2, okay, always use a loopback interface. Because the neighbor router knows your loopback interface, not your physical interface. After configuring this IP address, router 1 will never send an update using this address. Which address it will use now? It will use an address which is configured on your loopback interface, whatever your loopback interface is. Okay, and that loopback interface is configured with the address 1.1.1.1. Now your neighborship will come out. Why? Because on router 2 we said my neighbor is 1.1.1 and I am getting all the information using 1.1.1.1. So I should get agreed. Getting my point?
Yes.
Okay, similarly, on router 2 also you have to do the same thing. Now again, if you will see from router 2 is sending an update using the same physical interface, which is what? 12.1.1.2. Does router 1 will get agree on 12.1.1.2? No. Why? Because on router 1, we said my neighbor is 2.2.2.2, which is one of the interface, which is one of the different interface of router 2. Okay, so there again you have to say, bro, whenever you will update to 1.1.1.1, the neighbor router of you, okay, always update with using the loopback IP address. Getting my point? Now they two will get agreed to each other and they will make the neighborship. Got the point? Or does anyone is having a doubt? So should I come again?
It's clear now, sir.
Now clear, sir.
Yeah.
In the previous configuration, you have not added this line.
Previous, still we did not added this update line. Okay, that is why still if you will see on router 2, the neighborship is down. Able to see? Never. Okay. Now check. Okay.
Can you explain these letters?
Which letters?
V means version.
V means version, the AS number, and the messages which are being exchanged between the neighbors, that is 00. Why? Because they have not built a neighborship still.
What is TBL version?
That TBL and INQ, out queue, inside the queue. TBL doesn't matter anything. Okay, inside the queue, outside the queue, how many messages are in queue while sending or receiving. Okay, neighborship up and down. Okay, and the state you will find active state, idle state, established state. Total 5 states are there in BGP.
No, in this case, how will know that it is up or down? It is showing the time.
See, it is down. Never. They have not built a neighborship. If you will see here,
for the
neighborship
third case, showing only time.
Neighborship is up from last 55 seconds. Oh, sorry, from last 55 minutes.
If it is down, what you will show?
Never.
Okay.
Okay. Here it is like a prefix. How many network you have exchanged? One network. Only one network.
Then why it is showing active?
Why it is saying?
Active.
Active, no? Okay, it is active. Why? Because the things are not getting exchanged properly. So I am active. Getting my point? Okay, I am active to get the information from my neighbor router, but it is not sending me the proper information. So again and again, I am actively again and again exchanging the information to get the exact information what I need. Okay, active doesn't mean it is up. Active doesn't mean it is up. This is state is active. State is active means it is actively performing something to get the information. Okay, so here everyone on we are on router 2, is it? Router 3 and router 4 has built a neighborship on my router. Okay, using what? 2.2.2, is it? So 2.2.2 is my loopback number 2. Okay, so go on router BGP 200 and say, neighbor, whenever you will advertise any information to neighbor 3.3.3.3, okay, your update source will be my loopback number 2. Whenever you advertise anything to 4.4.4.4, your update source, your update loopback will be what? Loopback number 2. Okay. Now see, the neighborship is coming up one by one. Go on router 3 and see. They have made a neighborship with my router using a 3.3.3.3. So on which interface 3.3.3 is configured? 3.3.3 is configured on my loopback number 3. Okay, so go on router BGP 200 and say neighbor 2.2.2.2. Whenever you update to 2.2.2, use loopback number 3. Whenever you update anything to router 4.4.4.4, use update source loopback number 3. Okay, now go on router 4 and check router 4. They have done a neighborship on my 4.4.4.4. So check on 4.4.4 which interface, loopback number 4, config terminal, router BGP 200, neighbors 2.2.2.2, update source, loopback number 4. Loopback 4, is it? Neighbor 3.3.3, update source, loopback number 4. Everything will come. Now go on router 4 and check the neighborship. Show IP BGP summary. Is it come up? Yes, everybody are able to see this screen.
In the state prefix,
Yes.
what is one?
Yes, sir.
Prefix is one only, na? How many network did you advertise from your router? You have advertised only one network. In the router BGP, how many networks did you advertise? That is 2.2. Sorry, 22, 22, 22. Na?
Okay.
Okay. Similarly, if you will go on router 1 and check, okay, what are the networks? Show IP BGP. See here. How many network does it getting? 11, 22, 33, 40. Only the customer network, the other ISP is getting, not my internal networks. Getting my point? Which are the networks? What our consideration is? What our goal is? Our goal is to only advertise the customer network to other ISP. And what we have achieved? 11, 22, 33, and 44. Is it or not? On router 2, the neighborship is up. On router 3. Is it? Done? Or any doubt? Still, the things are remaining over here. Okay, still the two all are not able to communicate with each other. Why? That we will see it tomorrow. For today, I think you guys need a practice. So at least practice it once. Okay, if you guys have any doubt, you guys can ask me. You guys can ask me tomorrow also. Not able to text me. Better you message me tomorrow. Ask me tomorrow during the session. Done, everyone?
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay,
Sir,
everyone.
I had sir, just single question, sir. I had some issues.
Tell
I
me.
was just away from my desk for some time. So we only discussed about update loop, source loop back, right?
Look back.
Or
Yes,
is there any other thing we discussed?
no.
That's the only one, right? Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so
Tomorrow
much,
we
sir.
will meet at same time. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.